What's going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, coming to you with another weekly Shonen Jump newsletter. I'm super excited to get into this. First of all, this is on issue 2 of Weekly Shonen Jump for the year 2021. Despite it not being 2021 yet, I don't really understand how that works, but that's what I'm being told. So, this is for issue 2. And there was a lot of things in this issue. This was I would argue, pretty massive issue for the magazine, especially being its second issue of the year. This had some pretty massive moves made in it, so let's just get right in it. First of all, the cover this week went to Dr. Stone, which is cool. Dr. Stone doesn't normally get a cover page, and so it is cool to see that Dr. Stone finally got some notoriety. It's good to see that. I like seeing that. This chapter was pretty good. I like this chapter. I like the time guy. I like the clock maker guy who kind of like he works with that Medusa, the petrification device. I like him being able. I like someone being able to do that. I was always confused about what the device actually is, or if it's like really small cybernetics, or how it works. But I think we're gonna get closer to that answer. But it was cool. I like him as a character, and I like seeing them go all across the Andes Mountains in this chapter, trying to weigh the bikes out right and all that. I thought it was interesting. So it was an interesting chapter for sure. Definitely Dr. Stone deserves the cover. It deserves highlights, more often than it gets them. So it was a good cover chapter. There was nothing new in the magazine this week, although we will talk later about something that may be coming. But we did have something end in the magazine. And this is actually the first time since doing these newsletters that something has ended in the magazine that I've gotten to see. And it wasn't We Never Learn, which will be ending here in the near future. Chainsaw Man is over, or at least part 1. Again, we'll get into that kind of in the news section, but it says Chainsaw Man's officially ended. So Chainsaw Man is actually over at 97 chapters. And it was a huge shock to me. I had no idea this was coming this week. And then I read the chapter and it was over. Or I saw actually on Twitter that it had ended. And I couldn't believe it. So I read the chapter. This was great. I like the color page, the 2-page color spread. I thought that was really interesting with all the different food that Makima was turned into. I love that Denji takes care of Makima's dogs. Like, all those dogs are following him around. They're like with him now. And his statement that Makima never saw him. And that's why this method could work. Why he would be able to do this is because she never saw him. She only saw the Chainsaw Man. And that's really sad. I mean, if you know Denji, you know how much. And Denji admits, like, he loved Makima. It was love that made it possible on his end to do this. He had no animosity, but she never even saw him as Denji. And this is really sad, but like, definitely true, right? And then we got to see, of course, the new Makima, or the new Control Devil, I guess, and how Denji's got to take care of her now. And so that looks to be interesting, and I like the stuff there. And Pochita coming back and just saying, I just wanted to be hugged. It's like, it's such a somber and sad end to this manga that honestly, if I could be real, has been like that, has been kind of somber and sad for a lot of its run. And it was a good end. And that final page spread where Denji, looking like a superhero, steps up, grabs the cord in his chest like he's about to become Chainsaw Man and take out that giant devil destroying the city. That was really cool. I really like superhero Denji. That's a really cool thing for me to think about. So it was definitely a cool chapter. It was a great chapter, a great final chapter, I think, and a great wrap up. I knew it was coming, but it was a great wrap up for Chainsaw Man, I think. Absolutely. Just a phenomenal wrap up. Chainsaw Man is a phenomenal manga. If you haven't read it, please go and read it. Now that it's over, especially, definitely go and read it. But this was a great chapter to end on for Chainsaw Man. And we'll get into later in the news section a little more about Chainsaw Man, but for now we'll leave it. There wasn't anything on break this week. We had a full magazine, full stacked magazine, and in fact, we actually had 2 specials going on. The first one is The Promised Neverland got another special chapter. This one was on Isabella, and I actually thought last week's was going to be on Isabella, but it was on Crone, and I didn't see that coming, but this one was about Isabella, and specifically the other, the moms in training trying to take down Isabella, and I loved seeing that. Matilda, I think, was the white-haired one, seeing her, like, her plan and scheme, and then come into this room where she has all the people scheming against her sitting down at this table. Isabella is scary. Isabella is one of my favorite characters in The Promised Neverland, and she is terrifying, and this is a prime example of why I think that. Isabella is scary, and this is, we're looking at the proof of why that's scary. So, of why she is so scary. But that was crazy. And then she just gets them in on the plan. And I love that. I loved seeing that. That was really cool. And I really thought it was interesting how we see that Matilda, as she's pregnant, like, really be very emotional about what she has to do to her child. And that's something that in this world, I really think that has mattered a lot to the moms in this world, in The Promised Neverland, is what their own children have to go through. And if they can't see them, that's fine. But as Isabella says, she took care of these girls' children at the Plant 3 or whatever, House 3 or whatever they called it. So, I mean, huge there. It's huge. And then I love the ending where, you see them all standing in front of Isabella's grave in the real world, and saying, hey, we made it, we did it. The mission was a success, and it was heartwarming. At the same time, in the middle of the chapter, it gave me that fear and intimidation that I expect so much out of Isabella as a character. I really like Isabella, so I really like this one-shot special. It was a great special, for sure. And the other special this week was Jujutsu Kaisen. Had another special chapter. Now, this one I'm not really going to talk about at all. This, it just had some special comic strips, and it was whatever. It was pretty much like we didn't have a Jujutsu Kaisen chapter this week. It's like it was on break, but so I wasn't a fan of this, but here, there it was. So Jujutsu Kaisen got a special as well. And so that's going to bring us into my highlights for this week. And so I have highlighted a couple manga here, so let's just get into them. First of all, One Piece. Of course I highlight One Piece. You should expect, if you watch these videos, that I'm going to highlight probably One Piece and My Hero Academia almost every single week. But One Piece, definitely highlighted this week. We got a lot going on this week. First of all, I want to talk Marco and his Phoenix ability. I never, when we first were introduced to Marco, I never would have thought that Doctor would be like a skill set of him, but it makes total sense with what his Devil Fruit ability is with the Phoenix and the healing flames. And I thought the stuff with Chopper was funny, and how everybody's freaking out that they're on fire, but then they're like, oh wait, no, it's the perfect temperature to take the ice oni stuff away. And so that was really cool. I really like that. Also, Drake coming in, chomping down on a poo, stopping a poo from getting involved. And I love Zoro's little comment there, like, you picked the winning side, or at least you're on the winning side. And so I love Zoro's comment. That snarky comment was really cool. And so I loved seeing that. I loved seeing that Drake was really cool. And then we've got to talk about the Toby Ropo. We got to see their Devil Fruit forms, right? And it was so cool. So, just going one by one. Sasaki's a Triceratops, which I think Triceratops are like one of my favorite dinosaurs, if not my favorite dinosaur. So I was waiting to see a Triceratops, and it was Sasaki, and I think it makes sense, kind of how he's designed and everything. And so I was into it. I like Sasaki's look. I like that he's a Triceratops, and I can't wait for him to get fighting. And I love that he's paired against Frankie. That's so cool. Frankie is, for those of you who don't know, Frankie is my favorite Straw Hat. And so I love that they're paired. that he gets to fight my favorite dinosaur. It's just really cool. I'm super excited to see Sasaki versus Frankie, and I hope we actually get to see a lot of it. And I like that these pairings are going on as well. And then we see Black Maria is this, ancient spider zone, which makes a ton of sense. I mean, it looks like her crew is kind of yokai based, and so the Tsuchigumo is huge, a huge thing in folklore. So not just in that, but even in Eastern folklore, like half woman, half spider thing is a thing too. Or I said Eastern, Western folklore. That's a thing too. So like, it made a lot of sense to see her like that, but to see her have the devil fruit, and I think it's really cool. So I definitely like that as well. And of course, Who's Who has the saber-toothed tiger devil fruit, which makes sense. Let's go back real quick. Sanji versus Black Maria. I don't know if that's going to be the final pairing, but I do think it would be very interesting to see how Sanji deals with that, and how he actually would fight them, would fight Black Maria and her crew. And if he would, I want to see where Sanji's at this point. But yeah, let's move on to Who's Who, who's the saber-toothed tiger. I knew that there was going to be a saber-toothed tiger fruit. I had kind of guessed that it would be Who's Who based on how his crew was themed. But him versus Jinbei, I think will be cool. What I'm really interested in who he is. I don't, right off the top of my head have any guesses, but I'm very interested to see who he is, if we've seen him before, if we know of him, and his connection to Jinbei. And I think we're going to get that throughout this fight. But so that'll be a cool fight too. But overall, One Piece, amazing chapter this week. As I've said before, read One Piece. Just read One Piece. It's an amazing manga. It's the best manga, in my opinion. It's the best manga running in Weekly Shonen Jump right now. So definitely read One Piece. Great chapter this week. Also, I want to highlight My Hero Academia. No surprise there. Great chapter this week. Again, we got to see Mirio fight more, and if you listened to 2 weeks ago when he came back, oh my goodness, I love Mirio, and I love that he's back. So we got to see that. We got to see him fight. We also got all that stuff with Mr. Compress, and we got to see his backstory and all of that going on, and how he's like descended from these criminals. I thought was cool. Yeah, and I liked his last stand and everything. So yeah, it was a really good My Hero Academia chapter as well. The next one I want to highlight is Ayakashi Triangle, which is not one that gets highlighted on these videos a whole lot, but I did want to throw my hat in the ring on this. I actually kind of like Ayakashi Triangle, despite it not being the genre that I'm usually into. This chapter specifically was perfect for me. We kept the fan service to a minimum and the cool action stuff to a maximum. So I love Nino Kuru's dad, or I guess he's also Nino Kuru. Yeah, I love the dad character. He's really cool. I think his name is Mugo or something. Mugo. What is it? Yeah, Muga. Yeah, anyway. Not that matters, but I really liked him. I thought he was cool. I loved watching him like dodge and move so fluidly, and that was really cool. And the solution to use Matsuri and Ninokuru's abilities together to make him spill the sake, that was a really cool plan, really cool executed. I really liked it. And I loved that at the end then he's like, these two are going to get married, and they're like, Matsuri's still a guy. And he's like, nonsense. She's a girl now, so it works out. I think it's really funny that Ninokuru's dad is like that. And it kind of explains a little bit about why Ninokuru is like that too. But I definitely like this chapter. It definitely deserved to get highlighted this week for sure. Which moves on to the next one that I have highlighted here, which is Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin. I don't think I've highlighted this manga in a couple weeks, and that's because it's been kind of average for a couple weeks. But when we get back into the plot of the ocean crime, the ocean gang stuff, that's where I'm really into it. And this mystery with all the stuff going on right now, Yukari and stuff, that's so interesting. I liked seeing that Samejima would run in the morning with that girl, the friend of Yukari. and talk about stuff. It's almost like they're developing like a relationship there, and I kind of like that. I'm okay with that. But the big thing this chapter was the mobile investigations unit, the MIU, right? This unit looks so cool. I really like all of them. I like their look. When they're walking in, they look super cool. And then we got all their names and they lined up and we got to see a little bit about their personalities that I really liked. Yeah, they look really cool. I like all of them. It was a cool chapter. It was great. And then at the end, we got to see that guy, Kamuro, I think. We got to see his, like, girlfriend, his lady, spying out. And the girl from the beginning saw it, picked up on it, and she's following it. It's just a really cool, like, mystery story. I really like it, like, true crime kind of story going on, and I'm really into it. I really, really like Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin, and this chapter was a great one this week for sure. So moving on, next I have Mission Yozakura Family, another manga that I don't get to highlight that often, but I felt I had to this week. Mission Yozakura Family, great chapter this week. We get to learn a little bit more about how the Yozakura heirs, or the husbands, process summoning, and we learned about this ability called blooming, and it takes your natural abilities and enhances them, to the utmost level. And so we saw the grandpa guy, he because he was already good at escaping things, he could move through almost any obstacle unhindered. We see him move through Tayo's clothes like that, and then even put that ability into bullets and make them pierce things that they wouldn't be able to pierce normally. So that was really cool. It was really cool to see. And then to have him shoot Mutsumi at the end was shocking, at least. It was crazy. That was crazy to have him shoot at her. I was very shocked. But right before that, I like that Tayo says, Tayo's determination is really cool to see. I like that still. But yeah, he shoots at Mutsumi and Tayo catches it. And we see both of the things going on in his eyes. It looks like he's unlocked the blooming ability as well. I will admit, one chapter to unlock this ability is fast, and it probably means that we're going to get back to a kind of gag manga type style in a couple chapters once this little arc is over. But all at the same time, I did like it. It was super cool. It was awesome. And I think that Tayo's ability will definitely be something about endurance. He's able to endure, or he's not able to be hurt, because we've seen from the very beginning of this manga, Tayo can take punishment. And I think that his blooming ability is probably just going to be something about him taking punishment. But I wanted to highlight it this week because it was super cool. And then the last thing I have highlighted this week is Undead Unluck. It's no surprise. If you've been listening to this for a while, it shouldn't be any surprise that I am a big Undead Unluck fan, and this chapter is no different. We got to see Victor and Andy fight, and it was a really cool fight. I really loved it. The moves that Victor was using were amazing, and then when they both pull out the blades and clash, that was really cool. And then that giant blood cannon thing that they were doing at each other, that was really cool too. I really love that Andy's learning how to use his abilities in a more in a cooler way to fight, and Victor's almost teaching him that. I really like this. I really like Victor a lot. He's as I said last week, Victor is super confusing to me, and really I like him a lot, and so I love to see this fight. It was really cool. But yeah, that's Undead Unluck. So that's all my highlights this week. So we'll move on to the news. And the first piece of news that I found was a new manga called Flame-Eyed Cyclops is going to be starting next week, I believe. And so we should, look forward to Flame-Eyed Cyclops next week, and obviously something new in the magazine for us. Again, after, we've already had Build King and then Sakamoto days, which are very good. We've had them already, but I guess this new one's going to start too. And so that's really cool. I really like that. And then we've also got to talk about Chainsaw Man. So, as I said, Chainsaw Man has ended, right? The manga's ended, but it hasn't really ended. Because if you look at the end of the manga, it says end of part 1. The Bureau of Defense or Devil Hunters Association arc. Yeah, something like that, right? It says part 1. It's the end of part 1, which means there will be more parts. And so I looked into this, and all that means is, so I guess, if I understand this right, they are moving Chainsaw Man off of Weekly Shonen Jump. And they're just going to produce the chapters online, and possibly in a different magazine in Japan. I'm not totally sure, but it's not going to be part of Weekly Shonen Jump anymore. But it seems like the manga will still be continuing, just not under Weekly Shonen Jump, which does mean it will no longer be part of my Weekly Shonen newsletters, unfortunately. But it's that's what that means. But I also saw that there is a picture, a promo picture for an anime of Chainsaw Man, and so that's something that we can look forward to with Chainsaw Man 2. Chainsaw Man, great manga. Definitely, I would encourage you to read it because it really is very impactful. I think it's very good. So yeah, but hey, that's all the news I got for you guys this week. Thank you so much for watching this video. I know it was a little bit longer, but I had a lot of things to say, so that's just how it's going to be. But thanks for watching. If you liked anything I had to say, like the video, subscribe to my channel. I bring you these weekly newsletters every single week, along with some other special videos that I do every once in a while. You can check out my latest video, my review of Hikaru no Go. It's going to be up in the cards, so definitely check that video out too, and check out all my other videos. But yeah, subscribe to the channel so you're stay up to date on all the stuff that I'm putting out there. But yeah, comment down in the comment section if you have anything to say about this week in Weekly Shonen Jump. I'd love to talk with you there too. But for now, this is Shonen Express signing off.